Good morning. The next and final presidential debate is Wednesday. Early voting underway in most states, and for those casting their ballots on November the 8th, we are 22 days away. Donald Trump in New Hampshire and Maine yesterday, both leading party nominees are off today, and there is a new international storyline developing between the United States and Russia. It is Sunday, October the 16th. And we want to begin with your reaction to the U.S. preparing for a possible cyber strike against Russia. Vice President Joe Biden making an appearance this morning on NBC's Meet the Press, indicating in an interview taped on Thursday that there will be an American response to those stolen Hillary Clinton emails with claims the Russian government is trying to influence the election. We want to get to your calls and comments on all of this. Our phone lines are open at 202-748-8001. That's our line for Republicans. For Democrats, 202-748-8000. Independents can dial in at 202-748-8002. Share your comments on our social media, including facebook.com/cspan, or send us a tweet at cspanwj. And good Sunday morning to you. Thank you very much for being with us. I want to begin, though, with this headline this morning from the Washington Post. The latest from ABC News and the Washington Post. 3 weeks out, an edge for Hillary Clinton. She now has a 4-point lead nationally. But the poll indicating that the support for Donald Trump and Hillary Clinton is pretty much rock solid. A very small majority, a small number of undecided voters still to decide this election. We'll have more later in the program with former House Speaker Newt Gingrich to talk about Trump and the latest polls. But we want to begin with Russia and the U.S. and the story first reported Friday on NBC News, available online at nbcnews.com. The U.S. is poised for an unprecedented cyber assault targeting Russia. The White House is contemplating, writes NBC News, a covert action against Russia in retaliation for alleged Russian interference in the American election. Current and former officials with direct knowledge of the situation say the CIA has been asked to deliver options to the White House for wide-ranging clandestine cyber operations designed to harness and, quote, embarrass the Kremlin leadership. The sources did not elaborate on the exact measures that the CIA was considering, writes NBC News, but the agency had already begun opening cyber doors, selecting targets, and making other preparations for an operation. Former intelligence officials telling NBC News that the agency had gathered reams of documents that could expose the unsavory tactics of Russian President Vladimir Putin. More details available online at nbcnews.com. In an interview taped Thursday, airing today on NBC's Meet the Press, Chuck Todd asking Vice President Biden about all of this. Here's his response.
Why haven't we sent a message yet to Putin?
We're sending a message. We have the capacity to do it, and the message
He'll
will be
know
sent
it?
he'll know it, and it'll be at the time of our choosing and under the circumstances that have the greatest impact. The capacity to fundamentally alter the election is not what people think. And I tell you what, to the extent that they do, we will be proportional in what we do. And
So a message is going to be sent. Will the public know it?
I hope not.
That from Vice President Joe Biden, and the full interview is airing on NBC's Meet the Press. NBC's Meet the Press, one of 5 Sunday shows that we carry on C-SPAN radio. So the U.S. considering the possibility of cyber attacks against Russia, all in retaliation to the Wikileaks and new information, including on Hillary Clinton's speeches from Wikileaks. But let's get to your calls. From Green Bay, California, Emily is joining us, Republican line. Good morning.
Good morning. I just am very concerned about the relationship between Russia, Putin, and Obama. I think Obama is carrying this too far. The possibility of getting us into more serious warfare because of hacking. And we know they have this information, so why are we going after them? And we expect a retaliation. Pardon me. Mm-hmm. I would like to know what Hillary is planning with our country when she joins all of the different organizations in the world, including giving away our nuclear weapons, because she does not like them. Also, I would like to comment, if we're going to just listen to all these sexual things that are hearsay for 30 years ago, meanwhile, today they're accusing Bill Clinton of going to an island where there are children as sex slaves with Mr. Epstein. I think that should be answered by the Clinton administration. Thank you.
Emily from California, we want to really focus on the far more serious issue this morning dealing with Russia and the U.S. Again, the story first reported on NBC News, and the New York Times also writing about the latest developments. Details available online at nytimes.com. Such a finding would allow the U.S., writes the New York Times, to make use of its newly developed arsenal of cyber weapons, which are under the control of the Military Cyber Command, the NSA, and in some circumstances, the CIA. Vice President Biden's statement does not exclude the possibility of a response outside the realm of cyberspace, but most of the other options under discussion in the White House involve actions that would be public, such as economic sanctions under a 2015 presidential order on responding to cyber attacks. Such sanctions have never been invoked, but are well suited in cases like this of the presumed effort to influence the American election. Again, that this morning from the New York Times. Dmitry Peskov is the Russian president's spokesperson responding to these latest developments. Here's what he had to say.
We will take precautions. The fact is the unpredictability and aggression of the United States is growing. Such threats against Moscow and against the leadership of our country are unprecedented because that threat is announced at the level of the US Vice President. And of course, on the background of such an aggressive line, unpredictable line, we have to take measures to protect our interests, to somehow hedge our risks.
That from RT, Russian TV. A couple of comments on our Facebook page. There's this from Bill, who says, an act of war and Joe Biden? You must be kidding me. And another comment from Carol Olds, who says, I don't profess to know what to do about this mess. I only know that if it keeps getting worse, no war with Russia, please. Again, the question we're asking is the U.S. considering cyber attacks against Russia? Our phone lines are open, and for Democrats, 202-748-8000. For Republicans, 202-748-8001. And for third-party candidates, supporters, 202-748-8002. Yahoo is also writing about the latest developments. It's available online at yahoonews.com. Writing the Kremlin on Saturday, slamming Washington for what it called an unprecedented threat against Moscow over an alleged series of cyber attacks and vowing to respond. Again, you heard just a moment ago from the Kremlin spokesperson, who immediately denounced Vice President Biden's remarks, saying Moscow would take precautions to safeguard its interest in the face of increasing unpredictability and aggressiveness by the United States. Don is joining us from Sandston, Virginia. Good morning, Democrats line.
Good morning. Thanks for accepting my call.
Sure.
I'm a disabled veteran. I think this thing with Russia, it's obvious to a blind man that Russia is behind all of this, and every time Donald Trump is presented with this, he claims, we don't know if it's Russia. It could be some 400 fat guy, this and that. I believe that he has some type of ties. We need to see his taxes. He has some type of ties to Russia. He's had too many people in his campaign that's affiliated with Russia. Enough is enough, and his supporters keep coming up with all these far-fetched accusations against Hillary and Bill Clinton. This is really getting ridiculous. And Russia, Putin would love Donald Trump to get in office. He will play him like a bass fiddle. This is a former KGB guy. Believe me, he knows exactly how to play Donald Trump, and he's so self-centered and egotistical. He's a fool. I've never seen a guy could be so rich and be so stupid. But it's just crazy. Not to mention the fact Donald Trump has suspicious ties to the mafia. He should be investigated in reference to Russia. You know what I mean? He talks about these other countries, but he has affiliations with these other countries.
Don, thanks for the call. And Michael, with this tweet, the Russians love to twist the tales of those in power in the West. Lots of bluster from those senior sources in Washington. From Catonsville, Maryland, John is next. Republican line. Good morning.
Hi. I think this whole thing is a bluff by Joe Biden because he wants the Democratic Party to look tough in the military spectrum of running things. Donald Trump is seen as the more tough military man in the election. So Joe Biden wants to make Hillary Clinton look like she would be tough against any kind of threat. So this is just a party politics thing here, saying Joe Biden will go up against Russia and some kind of hostile activity. Thank you.
Okay, James, thanks very much for the call. 202-748-8000 for Democrats and 202-748-8001 for Republicans. In Foreign Policy magazine, retired Admiral James Stavridis is writing about the threat. He is now at the dean of the Fletcher School of Law and Diplomacy at Tufts University, saying, quote, "The first thing the U.S. government will have to determine is whether the Russian actions rise to the level of an attack, something that would require a direct U.S. response. There are many examples," writes the Admiral, "of cyber infiltration that fall short of the designation, qualifying rather as a nuisance activity or even garden variety espionage. The activities in question, however, cross an important political and operational threshold by attempting to influence the American public on behalf of one of the candidates for the presidency. Most egregiously, the release of the internal Clinton campaign email violates a wide variety of U.S. laws. There are actions that affect the heart of the U.S. democratic process. They may not exhibit physical damage of the sort that we saw in North Korea, which did millions of dollars in damage to its own hardware, but the political and symbolic meaning of Russians' actions nonetheless elevate them to something requiring a response." You can read the full essay online at foreignpolicy.com. Bernie is joining us from Deerfield Beach, Florida, Democrats line. Good morning. Your reaction to all of this?
Good morning. Well, Trump and his people are saying how weak our president is. Well, I don't think he's weak. I think he's showing guts, and I think he's showing determination that nobody's going to invade us, whether it be physically or by cyber attack. We should respond. The world should know, don't play unless you want to get burned. The United States doesn't have to take Russia's advances by attacking us with cyber attacks. We should stand up. This is America, and we're strong, and our president has shown leadership. Thank you.
Bernie, thank you. Another viewer saying, "We're supposed to risk world peace because of the exposed Hillary lies." Share your comments at C-SPAN WJ. Karen, Wheeling, West Virginia, on the Republican line. Good morning.
Good morning. It's always hard to get through, but I got through this morning.
We're glad to hear from you.
No, I don't think Donald Trump has anything to do with this. I think that if anything, they're trying to hack into these emails to.
Let me be clear, Karen. We're not saying Donald Trump has anything to do with this. We're saying that the Russian government has been involved in this or behind this.
Well, that's my point. Is that the caller earlier said that he thought that Donald Trump had something to do with it. So I'm countering his call.
Gotcha. Okay.
And that. They're simply trying to expose. I don't know if Assange is involved, or it's hard to tell who. But I think that they're just trying to expose the mainstream media does not tell the American people what's going on. They cover every little scandal with Donald Trump, and then these huge revelations mainstream medium does not cover. So I think that's part of it. We're not getting the news anymore.
Thank you for the call. This is from another viewer saying, "Who would have guessed it that we would be up to Trump to preserve world peace? A Clinton presidency will provoke World War III." Let me share with you, and I want to let our radio audience know that for the next 2 minutes you're going to hear Russian TV, and this is posted on the ABC News website. But for those watching here on television, you'll see the English subtext. It is reportedly how Russian TV is preparing the Russian people for the possibility of a cyber attack. Again, it runs just about 2 minutes. For the radio audience, it will be completely in Russian. Let's watch.
Если такое однажды случится, то каждый из вас должен знать, где находится ближайшее бомбоубежище.
Война ведь не начинается за 5 минут и просто так, а сотрудники МЧС регулярно проверяют, чтобы на этом противоядерном складе исправно функционировала их часть хозяйства.
России надоело высокомерное американское вранье. Прогибаться дальше некуда.
Как Америка обрушила отношения с Россией? Что будет теперь? Пока в Белом доме обсуждают ракетные удары по Сирии, наши военные предупреждают. Будем сбивать все. Хватит. Американского вранья нахлебались.
разработан природного и техногенного характера, а также в рамках проведения мероприятий по гражданской обороне традиционно большие занятия провели их сотрудники МЧС России.
Обучение учащейся молодежи
российско-американских отношений. Это не наш выбор. Мы к этому никогда не стремились. Наоборот, мы хотим иметь отношения дружеские.
Again, that posted on the ABC News website over the weekend, and it runs about 2 minutes from Russian television on how Russia reportedly is preparing for the possibility of a cyber attack against Russia. We're getting your calls and comments on this 3 weeks before the election. Also, a number of tweets, including this from a viewer saying, "Does the U.S. hack? ? Are we breaking any laws?" And Jan, you know that if the POTUS did not talk about the cyber attack, he would be wrong. And finally, from Dana, you have to ask yourself, would Obama be targeting Russia if they hacked Trump? No way. Obama protecting himself here, folks. Let's hear from Pete, who's joining us from Atlanta, Georgia. Democrats line. Good morning.
Yes, I do believe that the Russians are behind the leaks. And also, you know, the American people are actually condoning Russia literally breaking into our house, and for some reason they see no problem with it, and that is just amazing. Where has this country gone? I mean, these Trump supporters are so sick that they're willing to sell out the country just to get that tyrant. And if you look at him, just look at his movements and then look at Mussolini. I mean, I see the same fascist behaviors, and And now I can really see how a person like Mussolini or else Adolf Hitler actually came to power. These Trump supporters are sick.
Pete, thank you for the call. Well, this is a story this morning inside the Washington Post on the hacked emails involving Hillary Clinton. The headline, the email showing how a liberal group back-channeled advice to Clinton. The reporting of Mattia Gold and Abby Phillip and John Wagner. It was early June 2015, and the political world was bracing for the Supreme Court to hand down a ruling on a key aspect of the Affordable Care Act. Neera Tanden, president of the liberal think tank Center for American Progress, emailing top Hillary Clinton campaign officials with an idea about how to influence the decision, have the candidate and activists start talking about making the court an election issue so the justices would understand, quote, the political consequences at stake. That this morning from inside the Washington Post. Also over the weekend, new Wikileaks on Hillary Clinton's speeches to Wall Street firms. Jerry is joining us from Slatington, Pennsylvania, Republican line. Good morning. Good morning, Jerry.
Hi.
How are you today?
Hi, how are you?
Good, thank you.
Good.
Jerry, we can hear you. Turn the
I
volume down on the set, otherwise we're going to have to move on.
I just wanted to say, you know, what does it really matter who hacks it? You know, the point is it's being hacked, and whoever hacks it, that's great. I'm just glad it's coming out.
So you don't think the U.S. should have any response to the Russian government, whether it's Hillary Clinton or Donald Trump emails?
Well, not if it's exposing all this political corruption with her. That's the important part here.
Let's go on to Kathy joining us from Michigan, Democrats line. Good morning.
Oh, good morning, Steve. I've always had a fear, well, I shouldn't say always, but for a while that Russia is such a loose cannon, you know, just Vladimir Putin. He's not a nice man. His behaviors are pretty sick, and that he could engage in nuclear warfare. And it bothers me deeply because when I was growing up as a teenager in the 70s, it was all about getting rid of all the nuclear weapons. And now we've just ramped things up so much. My fear is a cyber attack is that they would go after all of our banking and our personal data, and they could just really destroy the country, or I suppose the world that way. I don't know really what the United States should do, but this isn't a good time for our children to be growing up because it just seems to be so. It's all about hurting each other. And, let me say this real quick, Steve. I went to a 60th birthday party yesterday, and it's one of my coworkers at the hospital, and everybody works very hard there. And they have a family farm they've had for years, or you've got, down the whole road. And this family is producing so much food to give to the food banks. And those are the things we're supposed to be doing. Mm-hmm. We're supposed to be helping each other, not hurting each other. And I hope if the administration does do this, that they know that they're prepared for a counterattack.
Kathy, thanks for the call from Michigan. Victor has this tweet. So the Kremlin is running a fear-mongering promo at home of a possible U.S. cyber counterattack. The big stick cometh, saith. And this from Robert. Thank God for Wikileaks. And finally, Karen, you can bet the House GOP would be all over the Russian hacks if it had been against the RNC. Amelia is joining us from California, Independent Line. Good morning. Welcome to the program.
Good morning, Steve, and thank you for C-SPAN for letting me come on the air.
Well, we're glad to have you. Thank you.
What I'm thinking is if Hillary Clinton, when she was going against Bernie Sanders, and Bernie Sanders was asking her to release her transcripts, all this would be history. It would be history because she would have been honest, released her transcripts, let America know where she stands, and this would be history. However, there is a concern about cyber attacks. China's tried it. Now Russia is supposedly doing it. So the United States does need to protect themselves from cyber attacks. But attacking another country, I think, is a little risky. I think they should just focus on security here in America. How did they get in? Let's stop it from happening again. Let's put up some better firewalls. You know what I mean? Instead of just saying, oh, we're going to get you, Russia. We're going to attack you because you're making Hillary Clinton look bad. They're not. If it's the truth, if these are real from her speeches, then there's not, what's the problem? It's keep it real, Hillary. She should come out in the next debate and say, hey, you know what I did? This is what WikiLeaks said. Take accountability, take ownership, take responsibility, and then tell us what she's going to do about it to improve the country if she wants to be president.
Amelia, thanks very much for the call. By the way, the next and final debate taking place on the campus of the University of Nevada, Las Vegas, and our coverage getting underway at 7:30 Eastern Time, 4:30 for those of you on the West Coast. And we'll take you inside the debate hall 30 minutes before the moderator, Fox News' Chris Wallace, asks the first question. The debate will conclude at about 10:35 Eastern Time. And then once again, we will open our phone lines to get your calls in reaction to the final debate. Full coverage on all of the C-SPAN networks, including here on C-SPAN 1, C-SPAN 2, C-SPAN Radio, and of course, cspan.org. This is from Mark. They have zero proof the Russians hacked the Podesta emails, just trying to get the media to discuss Russia instead of Clinton. And there's this from Doral, who says, we are American citizens. Russia is not helping us. As an Army medic, I can tell you there is no survival for nuclear warfare. And finally, Todd says, if Russia doesn't rise to the level to keep people from talking about Hillary Clinton's emails, you may get another 9/11 event. Share your comments. Also join us on Facebook. Tom from Boca Raton, Florida, Republican line. Good morning.
Hi, good morning. I'd just like to echo and agree with a few of our previous callers and tweeters from both sides who seem to agree that there really isn't proof that the Russians are behind this. And quite frankly, it doesn't really matter after what's being exposed. And I just want to call attention to two things that haven't really been brought up in the mainstream media. One being John Podesta's acknowledgement that Saudi Arabia and Yemen are key financial and intelligence supporters of ISIL and others. Also, another mentioned by Donald Trump this week that this is actually a campaign against elitist globalists, corporation-run government. So that's been brought up several times this week and also ignored, but proven through WikiLeaks. So,
Tom from Boca Raton, Florida. Let's go to Jim joining us from Chicago. Good morning, Independent Line.
Good morning, Steve. I personally don't believe the Russians did it. But if they did, which is worse, Russian hacking Hillary's email or America destroying Iraq, Libya, Syria, Venezuela? Which is worse? Hacking is nothing compared to all the lives and all the people who have died due to American policy. And Hillary, she was a Secretary of State when we invaded Libya and Syria. So she has blood on her hands. And in the emails, they only told the truth. Take care and God bless.
Jim, thanks for the call. Both Hillary Clinton and Donald Trump are off today on the campaign trail from events. Donald Trump yesterday was in New Hampshire. We'll share a portion of what he said yesterday. One other reminder, one of the events that happens every 4 years, you can see in its entirety here on C-SPAN, is the Al Smith Dinner. It is taking place from the ballroom of the Waldorf Astoria in New York City. And we'll have live coverage Thursday evening at about 8:50 Eastern Time here on C-SPAN and also on C-SPAN television. A chance to hear both Donald Trump and Hillary Clinton. Both have confirmed their appearance at this event. It is a fundraiser for the Archdiocese of New York, but it's also designed to be much more of a humorous night. So it's one of those events you don't want to miss, and you'll have a chance to see it in its entirety only here on C-SPAN. Real Clear Politics is out with a story yesterday from Donald Trump, who was in New Hampshire, saying that he wants to take a drug test, challenging Hillary Clinton to take a drug test before the third and final debate. Here's what Mr. Trump said yesterday in Portsmouth.
But we're like athletes, right? So athletes, they're making them more and more, but athletes, they make them take a drug test, right? I think we should take a drug test prior to the debate. I do. I think we should. Why don't we do that? We should take a drug test prior, because I don't know what's going on with her. But at the beginning of her last debate, she was all pumped up at the beginning. And at the end, it was like, oh, take me down. She could barely reach her car. So I think we should take a drug test. Anyway, I'm willing to do it.
Donald Trump yesterday in Portsmouth, New Hampshire. His full event on our website at cspan.org. On our Facebook page, a couple of comments. This is from Tommy, responding to the U.S. considering cyber attack challenges against Russia. Ridiculous and insulting to our intelligence. There is zero evidence that Russia has had anything to do with Wikileaks. Instead of repeating the fabricated lies about Russia, our media needs to focus on the content of the leaked documents. They reveal horrific levels of corruption. Are there any real journalists left in the mainstream? And Tim saying this is a political diversion from the truth coming out about Hillary and the Democratic Party being exposed for its corruption and lies. Another viewer saying insane. Missiles of October on this tweet. Good thing Cuba is on our side, not like Russia would like to hand Iran a bunch of finished nukes. Never. And from TJ, Obama is not smart enough to go against Putin. Obama should go to Hawaii and play golf until January 20th. Let Trump handle it then. And finally, from another viewing, if the hack was against the RNC, who would care? Let's go to Franklin, Tennessee. Jim on the Republican line. Good morning.
Good morning. How are you today?
We're fine. How are you?
Very interesting. It's a very interesting topic. Just trying to think of it from a voter just out here in the country. Hillary had this computer in her basement. She was using it so that it wouldn't be on public. The Congress wanted it. It should be a public record. She was the Secretary of State. The Congress wanted it. The people we elected, the voters out here in America want to know what's on it. She destroys it all. So the only people who have it now are the people who hacked it. So it's obviously been hacked. They're coming out now. So it's just not coming out in the media how much of a threat to our security it was for her to have this. And the fact that she said she had it but no one ever hacked it, obviously is not true. It's been hacked. So I just don't understand why the media hasn't made a huge thing out of this. And now the whole thing seems to be that we need to know what the contents of those things were. That's what we as voters and the people and the Congress need to know. And so the Democrats and the media now want to talk about how terrible this is that the Russians are involved. I mean, it just all seems so obvious to me.
Jim, thank you for the call. If you're listening on C-SPAN Radio or just tuning in, we're asking you about the story that first broke Friday on NBC News and then over the weekend the New York Times, the Wall Street Journal and others writing about the U.S. considering cyber attacks against Russia because of allegations that Russia, either the Russian government or entities tied to the Russian government, are behind the Wikileaks and the leaks of the Hillary Clinton emails and now some of her speeches that she delivered on Wall Street. David has this tweet saying Russia has already influenced the election by raising doubts. And Dee Dee saying Americans have had private information and identity stolen. Where was the government then? And finally, from TJ, another response, beware if the leaks keep pouring in showing how Hillary is a deceitful liar and hates the Catholics and on, watch out for the false flag. From our Facebook page, Tracy says, a better question, why would Putin want Trump to become president? Why did Trump say he didn't know Putin up until the video surfaced, with Trump saying the exact opposite? Does Trump and his daughter have financial deals and interests in Russia? And Connor says, let's not pretend this is suddenly a new thing. Besides, the Hillary-Obama administration have drawn red lines before. Those fools won't do anything this time either. It sounds like we need a tougher individual running this country. Let's go to Thomas, joining us from Holly Hill, Florida, reacting to all of this. Good morning, Democrats line.
Yes, sir. I got a simple question. It seems to be like it's really one-sided here, that they're doing all the hacking on the DNC side and not the RNC side. But you know what? These are all diversions. What you people there on TV at Washington Journal and other people should be concentrating on talking about is why Mr. Trump hasn't come out with his tax records and why he is being given a pass on it. I couldn't get away with that. You couldn't get away with that. And you got to remember, this man is running for the presidency of the United States. You stupid Republicans, you need to think about that. Don't just think about, I want my way. I want Mr. Trump in office. Think about what he stands for. And he stands for nothing. He stands for hate. He stands for somebody who's cheating on his taxes, who's a womanizer. Somebody. If he was right here in front of me right now, and I'm saying all this stuff to him, if he didn't have his bodyguards, he'd run and hide like a little sissy.
Okay. Thank you, Thomas, for the call. From the Outlook section of today's Washington Post, after Trump, two different points of view. The GOP's problems could long outlast its poor choice of a nominee, writing Bruce Bartlett and E.J. Dionne. The anger will remain, and progressives should be the ones to address it. From Sue, this tweet, if the hacks were against Trump, the administration would not be considering a cyber. It is about protecting Clinton. And David saying Russia's already influenced. I read that one before. I apologize. Let me go to Dennis, who's joining us from Portland, Maine. Good morning, Dennis. You're on the program. Glad to hear from you.
Hey, Steve, thank you for taking my call.
Sure.
I guess the point that I want to make to all the listeners out there today is why are we telegraphing the cyber attack to Russia? I mean, shouldn't we be, kind of like doing it incognito? I mean, this administration has a tendency to always go to the media and tell the world what we're going to do. I mean, we didn't do it when we hit Iran with the Susnik bug that time, to dismantle their nuclear capabilities. I just think that, we should be doing this under the table. And then later on, if they want to pat themselves on the back, they can come out and tell the press and the American public.
Dennis, thanks for the call. Nathan Gonzalez of the Rothenberg-Gonzalez Political Report is going to be joining us in about 10 minutes to talk about the House and Senate races and how the Trump and Clinton candidacies are impacting the down-ballot races. The New York Times Sunday magazine, its cover story focusing on Hillary Clinton, titled Her Way, The Reckoning. A look at the Clinton campaign and what to expect in the final 3 weeks of this election. Val is joining us this morning from Minneapolis. Good morning, Independent Line.
Good morning. Thank you for C-SPAN. I would like to see the proof. And where's the proof that there's Russian cyber attacks? And I'm uncomfortable with Tom Friedman and others talking, this builds up to war again, like with Iraq and Afghanistan. Why do we always have to be in this perpetual state of war? Certainly people are smart enough to sit down and talk and resolve things. So I would like to see some proof. Where's the proof? And I think the media should ask all of these people, where's the proof that Russia has done this or is doing this? Thank you.
Thank you, Val. And Steve, following up on an earlier caller's comment with asking the same question, why would you announce an attack in advance? Jennifer Steinhauer is writing about House Speaker Paul Ryan. We caught up with him on Friday in Madison, Wisconsin. He did not mention Donald Trump's name, talked about the issues that voters will decide. The headline, Paul Ryan's twisting labored path from party's standard bearer. A look at what's next, whether Hillary Clinton or Donald Trump wins for the House Speaker. Tony is joining us from Ocala, Florida, Republican line. Good morning.
Hey, good morning, Steve. Thank you for C-SPAN.
Certainly, thank you.
Hey, I saw a clip on Fox TV, actually it was on YouTube, of Judge Napolitano. Mm-hmm. And Judge Napolitano said that his sources have told him that these hacks are coming from our own NSA, our own National Security Agency. Apparently, Hillary had done something in the past that revealed certain agents and certain operatives that almost got them killed. And the NSA is putting this out there because they don't want Hillary to be their boss. Now, that's just what I've heard. You can check it out on YouTube and check out Judge Napolitano. But that's what I think. I think that's Putin had it right. It's all about the content and not about who's releasing it. Okay, thanks. Have a great day.
Tony, thanks for the call. By the way, a new set of ads released on Friday by the Clinton and the Trump campaigns. Let's watch.
The Clintons. From dead broke to worth hundreds of millions. So how did Hillary end up filthy rich? Pay-to-play politics. Staggering amounts of cash poured into the Clinton Foundation from criminals, dictators, countries that hate America. Hillary cut deals for donors, sold out American workers, exploited Haitians in need. She even handed over American uranium rights to the Russians. Hillary Clinton only cares about power, money, and herself.
I'm Donald Trump, and I approve this message.
I'm Hillary Clinton, and I approve this message.
What does showing up when it's time to vote actually mean? You care about protecting his legacy and our progress. You care about moving forward united as one. Because when we show up in full force and when we refuse to stand by quietly, we show what it means to be stronger together.
Some of the latest ads now on the air in key battleground states from the Trump and the Clinton campaigns, and Fox News writing about the U.S. preparing for the possibility, and we want to underscore only the possibility, of a cyber attack against Russia in the wake of the hack attacks. More details available online at foxnews.com. Juanita is following up on telegraphing any possible attack against Russia. Martha Raddatz of ABC News knows why you announce an attack ahead of time. She told Trump in the last debate. And this from another viewer saying, so now Trump has some of the deplorable lunatics in law enforcement calling for the overthrow of the U.S. government. Bring them on. Share your tweet at C-SPAN WJ. James from Newark, New Jersey, Democrats line, good morning.
Good morning. How you doing?
Fine, thank you.
Take my call, please,
sure.
Ben. What happened is that 4 months ago, Donald Trump on TV, on the major channels, said that Russia should hack into Hillary Clinton's email, 33,000 emails. Mm-hmm. He said it. Now, I agree with Joe Biden. Our revenge should be done in secret. Nobody should know about it. Me personally, I know some government classified secrets. I don't tell nobody, not even my girlfriend. So I did tell the FBI one time, one of my government secrets. And what happened is that that's about it. I'll tell nobody else.
James, thank you. New York Times is writing about Hillary Clinton, who attended some fundraisers Friday out on the West Coast and over the weekend, building a $150 million war chest twice the size of Donald Trump's. Edwin from New Bern, North Carolina, Independent Line, good morning.
Good morning. We need to do things very, very quietly if Russia is doing any kind of hacking to actually sway the election, and to have the leading Republican candidate saying that Russia should go after Hillary Clinton's emails and release them. That just fuels the fire between somebody covertly on that side doing anything to try to do anything about the election, which is so close from being completed.
Edwin, thanks for the call. I want to go back, and I read this at the beginning of the program, but just to underscore what the authority would be of the U.S. government. It's available online at nytimes.com. The headline is Joe Biden, the vice president, hinting at U.S. response for those Russia cyber attacks. It would allow the U.S. to make use of its newly developed arsenal of cyber weapons, which are under the control of the military's Cyber Command, and that's run in part by the NSA and in some cases the Central Intelligence Administration, the CIA. Let's go to Patty, who's joining us this morning from Lewis, Indiana, Republican line. Good morning.
Hi, thanks for taking the call. I am a Republican, but I can't imagine that the Obama administration would come out and say that they're going to attack Russia if there wasn't a cyber war with Russia, if there wasn't a real reason for it. Mm-hmm. And I have to question, is it that they're afraid that there's going to be more come out about Hillary and they want it stopped, and they want it stopped now? Is it that they're afraid that there's going to be something come out about Obama and the administration and they want it stopped and they want it stopped now? I can't imagine why Obama and the administration would be so fearful about what has been hacked about Hillary Clinton and the administration in those emails, that they would announce to the world that they're going to start cyber war with Russia. I mean, this has to be serious. That the vice president gets on television and smirks and says, "Hey, we're going to do it." Do you think they're going to intimidate Russia into stopping this? I mean, I feel that this administration acts as close to Russia, mm-hmm. and how Russia behaves. I believe that there's not that much difference between the Obama administration and the Democratic Party than what goes on in Russia right now. And I think they're trying to show that the Democratic Party and the Obama administration are a bunch of hypocrites. They're really, really afraid of what's going to come out.
Patty, thanks for the call. We're going to move on to Michael, who's joining us this morning from South Dartmouth, Massachusetts, Independent Line. Your comment on all of this, Mike?
Good morning, Steve. Thanks for C-SPAN. Could you imagine if during World War II, someone in our government went on TV or the radio or the newspaper and told the Germans when we were going to invade on D-Day? That person would be tried for treason and probably hung as an enemy of the state. But anyhow, I just want the public to think of this. All the Democrats are against Trump, and half the Republicans are against Trump. You know what that tells me? That he's the man for the job, because they want the status quo. They want the powers to be want to stay in power, and Donald Trump will shake it all up. That's the only hope this country has, to have a businessman run.
Thank you very much for the call. We'll move on quickly to Harvey, Sharon, Oklahoma, Republican line. You get the last word. Good morning, Harvey.
Yes, I'm 75 years old, and the cyber deal brings back memories. And my mother talked about the bear. When the bear comes over the mountain, our country is in danger. And if this cyber is from Russia, which is the bear, it's scary. And the other part is they always talked about when they take us over it and never fire a shot. Hey, I'm telling you right now, is a shot never heard. And my history teacher told me in 1956, he said, they will waste the Constitution. He said, our government's getting ready to fold. He said, you all may live long enough. He says, they will waste the Constitution and take us to socialism. Bernie Sanders scared the fire out of me when they...
Harvey, I'm going to stop you there because we were losing you a little bit because of the connection, but I think we got the essence of what you were saying. To all of you, thanks for your calls and comments. You can continue the conversation on our Facebook page at facebook.com/cspan. We're getting your comments about the U.S. considering the possibility of cyber attacks against Russia. 2 other points. This is from Elizabeth saying the media isn't telling the American people what is really behind the Russian nonsense. And finally, this from Richard: Trump, the original birther. What more do you need to know about him? Share your comments on Twitter at C-SPAN WJ. When we come back,